truth, because you had Jake that come up there and agree with most of the things that we say, but then it's just one thing that they, offends them or it's not on their agenda. These are the same spirits from all the way back in the Exodus, when we came out of ancient Egypt. These are those same spirits with the same, uncircumcised heart, stiff-necked, prideful, and rebellious against Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And in turn, them being rebellious against Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, of course, it makes them rebellious against his servants, the hopeful elect. So that's why it's just some people where it's not going to click, because the Most High made it that way. These spirits have been that way ever since the ancient world. Ye stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, ye do always resist the Holy Ghost, as your fathers did, so do ye. Because those are those same spirits in the reincarnation. So they coming back, everybody came back and they lied. Just like the Most High said, the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets. So if the prophets coming back and they lie, the scoffers coming back and they lie. If the righteous is if it's always going to be the righteous being righteous in his lie, the wicked going to be wicked in his lie. It's an opposing force, to everything, And that's what 2/3 are, as well as, 2/3 as well as the other nations, because 2/3 of the nation of Israel is not really Israel right now, So that's the opposing force to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, 2/3 of his own people, chiefly Esau, and then all the other nations, It says, which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? You going in on them. And they have slain them which showed before the coming of the just one, of whom ye have been now the betrayers and murderers. All right. It says, which of the prophets have your fathers not persecuted? All right. That's 2/3 of the nation of Israel. They persecuted the Lord. They persecuted all the men that came in the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, 2/3 of the nation of Israel. Because when you look at it, even going back to the Exodus of ancient Egypt, they was bucking up against Moses. You know what I'm saying? As soon as Jake got uncomfortable, as soon as things wasn't going Jake's way, they was bucking up against Moses, man. It's telling you, we thirsty, we hungry. It's hot. It's, this, that, and the third. Bucking up against them. So those spirits, the 2/3 is always going to be the opposing force to the spirits of the righteous, of those that believe in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, those who have faith in the Lord. All right. That's why when I know brothers be out there, that's why Jake is so aggressive towards us, The so-called white man was standing on the corner with a Bible, Jake could be obedient. But when he sees his brethren do it, it's a problem. So that's why Jake, want to fight us. They want to, we gonna get on the phone. I'm gonna call somebody, because it's a spiritual thing. They've been hating us. It's been a long battle between us and the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. We've been at odds. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? Y'all came at all the righteous men in the scriptures. Y'all outcasted all the righteous. You put them to death. You mocked them. Scoffed at them. That's who you've been. The opposing force, of the remnant, the righteous remnant, the elect, the hopeful elect. Even in so much as against our Lord Yahushua. Y'all persecuted Yahushua. You hated Yahushua, man. And he did no wrong. So, of course, they're going to hate us. It's a spiritual thing. Them being the opposing force to the hopeful elect. All right. So that's why that's one of my favorite scriptures, because When you think about it, everybody got persecuted that came in the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. By you niggas, you know, the other nations too, the ruling nations, you know, that we were in captivity under. But Jake could give you what they did it to the Lord. Just like when the nigga woman said, you know, I want John head on a charger. You know, cut his head off. Because he probably rebuked her ass before for being a wicked nigga woman. You know? But I'm gonna have to Romans 10 and 21. But to Israel he saith, all day long I have stretched forth my hand unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. Disobedient and gainsaying. That's Jake. You could never trap Jacob. I mean, you know you right, but Jake always find a way to wiggle out of the scriptures. If you notice that, like, you'll get him on a point, you know, and then they just change the subject. That's gainsaying. That's gainsaying. That's you Negro, Latino, Native, Seminole, Indian. That's all y'all do when it comes to these scriptures. You just gainsay. Try to find a way to be right, man. That's how you know who this book is talking about, man. All the attributes of you niggas is the 2/3 of the scriptures, man. I have stretched forth my hands unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. We see that. Because you're not going to do, you know, what we tell you to do through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And when we engage in a conversation with you, it's just a bunch of gainsaying. That's you niggas. I done see the so-called white man stand up there for an hour. We telling them to his face, we going to destroy you, or the Lord's going to destroy you. You going into slavery. He just, you know, shake his head. Okay. They don't even fight back for the most part. You know, sometimes they do. But Jake, you can't say nothing. You might not even be talking to Jake. Jake just walking by, and they hear something, and they come up there, you know, talking this shit, man. So that people that the Most High stretched forth his hands to, that disobedient and gainsaying people, is you Israelites, you Negro, Latino, Native, Seminole, Indian. That's y'all. You know, it's apparent, man. Because we see this every week. It's always somebody gainsaying. Whether it be on a comment board, you know, at camp, whatever, man. Jake can't just, it's like it. Jake can't just accept the fact that they've been living the wrong way and try to amend their ways. You know, going back to that, it's like it. What was that? Deuteronomy 10, I think it was 16. Going back to that Deuteronomy 10 and 16, circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart and be no more stiff-necked. So for you to circumcise the foreskin of your heart, you know what I mean, and to humble yourself and come back to the ways of the Lord, all right, you know, you have to, you know, like I said, humble yourself first. And Jake can't do that. They too busy gainsaying everything you say. You know, then you got the nigga that come up with his girl. Oh man, if Jake come up with his girl, you in for a debate if you even entertain it. Jake gotta be smart in front of the damn woman. You know what I mean? Try to drop some jewels, drop some dollars on you. You know what I'm saying? But you know, the reason I bring that up is that it's just a clear indicator of who the Israelites are, who 2/3 of the nation of Israel is. That gainsaying, all right, stiff-necked, hard-hearted, rebellious, prideful people, man. That won't, you know, even acknowledge Yahweh Hashem Yahushua enough to try to put their best foot forward and, you know, try to walk the walk of faith, man, you know. So ultimately, you know that it's like not their, well, yeah, their downfall, but their destiny is to be destroyed. All right, for being that gainsaying people. You know? It's Luke 21:15. For I will give you a mouth of wisdom. It's like it. I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. All right. So that's why every time that they try to gainsay, we always got the answer. If you notice, you know, if you're really watching, let's say you're watching the camp videos, you're watching it spiritually, we got the answer for them. It's just they talk over it. Or they ask you a question and you begin to answer it, and then they ask you 3 more questions to try to distract you. Like, Jake is a motherfucker, man. You know, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. Because if we were so insignificant, wouldn't nobody come up to us on the street. You wouldn't have people trying to combat, starting with the apostles and elders, you wouldn't have so many people trying to combat the truth if it was that insignificant. If it was just some crazy niggas, you know, that's how we perceived. If it was just some crazy niggas on the corner with a Bible, you know, people would just, you know, shake their head at it and keep moving. But this, you know, can't be resisted. Because deep down, it makes too much sense. Even for you Edomites, what we saying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, what we saying, it makes too much sense. Then brothers go into the history. They go on the words. You know, the depth, all right, the depth, I can't really pronounce the words like it, but the depth of this thing, all right, it just goes on and on, man. Because you can't just say something and the brother's confounded. The brother go into a word, he'll go into the history, he'll get the map, he'll, you know, be able to allude to certain current events that's going on, all right, and correlated with the scriptures. So you can't gainsay and you can't resist it. All right. That's why you have certain scoffers that always come back. You know what I'm saying? Certain scoffers that they go away for 3 or 4 months, then they back at it. They can't resist it. They can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. You know? But my Titus. Titus 2 and 9. It's like 2 and 9. 2 and 7. Titus 2 and 7. In all things showing thyself a pattern of good works, and doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity. It says sound speech that cannot be condemned. See, there goes, that's not being able to gainsay, because that's what they try to do. They try to say we evil. They try to condemn us. But the Lord already said you can't gainsay this. You can't gainsay this doctrine. You cannot condemn this doctrine because it's not wicked. If a brother start making up some stuff, some wayward doctrine, okay, then you can be condemned. We do that. But this doctrine, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, it can't be condemned. You can't do nothing about it. And that's why Jake gets so frustrated. Sound speech that cannot be condemned. All right, you can't gainsay, you can't resist, and you can't condemn it. So the Lord is like, this doctrine is like impenetrable, you know. You can't do nothing about it. But what you're doing, and that's getting mad. That's all you can do. All right. It says that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. All right. So ultimately, all right, not even ultimately, because you see those who are ashamed now. You see certain scoffers that come up and do wild things. Then we always see them come back after the Most High has judged them. They're ashamed. They don't have the same proud countenance, or they're not so quick to run their mouth. You know? Having no evil thing to say of you, you know? So I hope that video was edifying. All right. With that, I'm going to say shalom.